Speed.
Well, I'm just going to ask you some pretty standard questions about your career and your life. So,
Oh God, that's exhausting.
could you tell us how you started?
Oh my, you're already going right for the heavy-hitting questions. Well, I come from a long line of drag protégés. How does one get started in this glamorous business? Right from birth. That's how one starts, ever since I was just a wee little thing. I remember the first moment I had, let's see. I remember when I thought I was Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. That was at 3 years old. I thought I was her. I was standing in my mother's apron, my mother, Hedda Lettuce, and I was standing there in the living room, spinning around with the apron, singing The Hills Are Alive to the sound of music, and my mother looked at me and immediately knew something was wrong, and I immediately knew something was right. So that's how it started, and from there it just snowballed into this Muppet you see right before you.
I read that one of your first things was Queer Nation. Is that correct?
Well, in the early 90s, my career took sort of blossomed out of activism. You know, I wasn't one of these cheap reality star whores. In my day, we had faces. And I started there. You know, I had a point of purpose, and we were lip syncing in Sheridan Square, I think it was, with a boombox. That's what you used to call a boombox. A sheet which we changed behind, and we lip sank terrible songs as the onlookers threw money in a bucket to raise money for Queer Nation and the occasional cigarette butt. And that's how that. And I did some stuff with ACT UP. I did a lot of stuff with Queer Nation, and yeah, that's where it kind of started.
Was there any particular thing that inspired you to start?
Boredom. A great deal of boredom. Inspired me. A need to. You want to know the honest to God truth? I have no goddamn clue. The truth of the matter is I just needed something to do. It just happened. Some things you can't, you know how in life there's when they say it's a calling, you know, of some sort, you don't really know how it happened and it happened. That's kind of like, I didn't plan it. Nothing's planned. If I planned everything, I really wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'd be on a beach somewhere. So I didn't plan anything. And so it just kind of happened. This just happened. All this glamour just happened.
Have you been mostly doing New York, or have you?
Oh, I traveled, but I live here in New York City. Everywhere else is just not New York. You know, this is the best place to be. LA, you have to drive. It's miserable. Have you been there? It's god awful. You don't want to go to LA, not even to die. No one wants to go to LA. No. So, yeah, you have to drive around, and all the drag queens in LA, oh, they're so, whatever, they're what they are, but they have to drive. Drag queens behind the wheel of a vehicle, that spells disaster. Here, I can take public transportation, which has its own problems, because it's public.
What would you say since you mentioned early 90s, how's New York changed since then? Both for...
Well, we have the internet. We have cell phones. We're no longer talking through 2 tin cans and a string. We don't have to leave our house to do anything. That's why there's so many fat drag queens nowadays. In my days, everyone was thin and taut because we actually had to move. You had to leave. You had to go out on the street when you wanted to go. It's exhausting now. Oh, you have to constantly be pushing a button to promote this. And the day you took an ad out in a magazine, people came, they had a lot of fun. It just seemed more organic and less planned. You know, everything just seemed a little bit more spontaneous. Now everything is plotted and planned, and these pop-up things are even planned. Everything is planned to the 10th degree. It's exhausting.
Is it more difficult now?
No, it's not. It's easier in certain ways. Now you don't have to hand out flyers. That's exhausting also. You know, now you don't have to spend a lot of money giving a magazine advertising money. You can do it yourself.
Do you think that now too many are doing it because it's so easy?
No, well, more the merrier, you know? I mean, I'm happy that I know what life was like before this insanity. Now I sound like someone who, when they invented the telephone, oh, that's never going to work. That telephone is a fad. No, but at least I know what it was like to be in New York City when it was quiet. Really, when everyone wasn't always looking at the phone, they were just looking over their shoulders. Like, you know, oh, if I was going on a date with you, I'd be like, oh, you're so cute, but I'd be looking over going, but now I don't even have to look up. I can look at my phone and speak with you, and no one cares. It's exhausting now. It's exhausting. Trying to pretend you're somebody on the web, constantly posting happy pictures of yourself. Don't you think it's exhausting? Always having to be on. That's the thing now that's changed. You always have to be on, constantly.
What about the competition / camaraderie between drag
Well, you know,
queens?
I don't see anything as competition per se. I'm very lucky I came about when I did, because at least I have an established name. They just, you know, like they fought and a drag queen comes out now. Everyone, you know, there's so many of them. There's just so many. There's a lot of them now. It seems everyone wants to be a drag queen nowadays. Seems like a good profession. Mothers are sending them kids to lip syncing school, I think. I don't know what the hell they do now. But no. I don't see competition. I think either you got it or you don't. That's it. Even today, as it was in my day. Either you were talented and people were interested in you, or you weren't. Same thing today.
You're one of the few that actually sing and not just lip sync.
I like to sing. I like to lip sync too, but I like to make fun of lip syncing. I was never a very serious lip syncer. Though I think the first song I did lip sync, I don't even want to say it because it makes me sound like I'm 810. I'd like to say the first song I lip synced was Beyonce, but that wouldn't be true. It was something completely different. I think it was Judy Garland, Pretty Girl Milking Her Cow. What a tired ass song that was. It was tired then, it's tired today. But I did it, and that's why I stopped doing it. When we went to the Pyramid Club, that was the hub for where drag queens, if any fabulous drag queen could have been found, we were easy to find. There were certain places you could be. Any fabulous drag queen was found at the Pyramid Club. That's where everything started. Everyone's career began there pretty much. If you walk in and you'd see all these great drag names, all these unbelievably, people would go to see live. It was amazing. I'm glad I got to see that, because there's nothing like it today.
That's where you went to get discovered? Or?
No, I mean, I would say I was in the East Village when that happened. I was a creature of the East Village, because in those days, the East Village was had a burgeoning drag scene and performance art scene, and it was marvelous. And there was this one queen, I don't know if anyone's going to mention her, but she deserves to be mentioned, is Mona Foot. She had a thing called Mona Foot Star Church, and that's where I did a lot of stuff there. In that, I was in that contest a lot, and I won a lot. And that was at the Crowbar, and it was an amazing place. It was an amazing thing to be part of, you know. Because when I think about it today, it's like there's nothing like it. People don't go to bars for the same reasons anymore. They used to really go to bars for entertainment and also to get laid. So you can mix the two, and wow, what a great night. You know, I mean, there's drag shows around town and people go, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people I've talked to say that now it's more like people go to a bar and then, oh, suddenly there's a drag show happening. It's not like they go there to see it.
No, I hate bar work now. At this point in my life, I'd rather either be the laziest prostitute in town as a chore, or take up knitting than work in a bar at this point. I mean, it is true. You can learn a lot. I learned a lot of valuable performance skills working in a bar, because you have to learn how to work with people. They're not always necessarily paying attention. And you have to, that's how I developed my comedic talents. Because you're working with drunks, and they're like working with autistic children. You know, it's like you have to keep their attention, or they're going to bite you at some point. Really, you got to do something with them. And if you can wrangle these drunken fags in a room to be on your side, and you take those skills, you bring them to the mainstream, everything's a piece of cake. You know. But now I worked in a couple of bars last year, and it was just god awful.
What gigs do you do at the moment?
Well, I've been here at the movie theater. I think it's one of the longest running. Well, it's the longest running a film festival in the city. It's been be 14 years, and I've been doing this classic movie night for 14 years here. Now it's Bowtie Cinemas. When I started, it was Clearview, and now it's Bowtie, and so I've been doing it 14 years, and it's still a success 14 years later.
Tell us a little bit about what it is you do.
Oh, here, well, I do my stand-up comedy in the beginning, and I do some audience interaction. I love talking to people. That's one of my favorite things, is talking to people, and comedy comes from that. And it's kind of like, you bounce off of each other, because it's live. When you're with, I'm not doing Medea, I'm not doing a stage performance, so I like to connect with the people I'm performing with. I say with, they're like a character. And then I give away some silly prizes, because everyone loves silly prizes. And then I show the movie, and I talk through the movie, like Mystery Science Theater, Rocky. I have my laser pointer, and I point strange things out. It's a lot of fun, hence why it's been around for 14 years.
You're inspired by Elvira a little bit?
Oh, I love Elvira. Oh, I love her. She's great. She's great. So yeah, and then I travel, and I do my Christmas show, Let Us Rejoice. I've been doing that for 20 years. In different spaces, but it's been at the Metropolitan Room for the last 8 years. But yeah, so, and then I'm also a painter, and I draw and I paint. I have no skills in the real world. I guess I can't type. If I could type, everything would be different.
How did you pick the name?
I didn't pick it, it picked me. It's one of those things. My mother named me Hedda Lettuce. I come from a long line of lettuce. There's my grandmother's bed of lettuce, then there's my mother, Shredder Lynn Lettuce, and there's my aunt, my Jewish aunt, Netta Iceberg, and there's my nephew, Bib, and my father, Romaine, an Indian cousin, Red Leaf, and the exchange student we took him from China when I was a little girl, Bok Choy, and, my slightly retarded cousin, Coleslaw. I know you're not supposed to say retarded, but I didn't say retarded tranny, which is a total, we're going to be picketed right now. I said retarded tranny. That's it, we're done for. I can hear them getting out of this special ed bus. All the retarded trannies getting out of the special ed bus right now to picket us. They're just waiting to picket instantly. We say retarded, you say tranny, they pop out with their signs already made, pre-made signs. So we're doomed now. If you put this in it won't play in Peoria.
So have you ever been part of the underground community with the houses?
What do you mean, like a house party? What are you talking about?
No, I mean
my earrings falling off.
Like the talk about,
oh God, no. I prefer studios. I can't bear a house. A house. What am I going to do in a house? A house of people. No, I've never was, because no, I wasn't from that kind of thing. That's wonderful, but I was not from that period of time where we didn't have houses. No, I couldn't. It's too much pressure. No, that's a different scene completely. It's a completely different scene.
Do you have when you do your gigs an agenda? Do you try to inspire people, or is it pure entertainment?
Oh gosh, you just want to have fun. You just want to have fun. Make people laugh, have a good time. If I'm having a good time, they're having a good time, we're all having a good time. You want to spark their minds a bit here and there, but, just to have a message. There was more of a message, I guess, when I first started than there is today. I've been doing it so long, I think I've maybe forgotten what the message is, in a way. I mean, the message in the beginning was self-expression, You want to show, look, I'm expressed, I'm in a dress, ha-ha, foo on you. And now it's like, oh, it's a job just like any other.
How do you feel the gay community has changed over the years?
The gay community has become terribly bored. It's that generation of, they're just blasé. It's so sad to start off blasé. We didn't become blasé till 10 to 15 years later, but to start off blasé, where do you go from there?
Are you where you imagined you would be now?
I thought I'd be dead. So this is a much better place than that.
Well, what would you say is the primary motivation?
Money. Money's a great motivator. It's an incredible motivator. Money and fun. You know. What do you want me to say? Something mind-altering like, oh, I believe I'm changing the world.
What other gigs are you doing at the moment besides here?
Well, I do here, I do Fire Island all summer long. That's going to start up again. And then I travel. I go places. Have Wig will travel. You say you're going to book me, you're going to pay me, I go. That's what I do. That's what this girl does.
And your songs that you sing, do you sing other people's songs or do you do your own material?
I write a lot of original songs as well as doing parody songs. I do both, original and parody songs. I like writing music, I like writing my comedy material. I'm sort of having it's this point in my life right now where I don't know if you'll understand this, but there's a point in your life where you forget who you are. You forget who you are, what you've done, what you came from, what it meant to you, and you sort of lose yourself for a while. And then you realize, holy shit, I'm Hedda Lettuce. I have this whole history behind me that most drag queens don't have. Most drag queens don't start from activism nowadays. Most drag queens weren't walking down the street getting yelled at and having things thrown at them. I mean, the queens who came before me, it's really important. I think it's one thing you could say, it's very important to know your history. That's very important. So when you see these bitchy queens out there and you want to say, listen, lady, learn your history. It wasn't, before me, well, it's illegal. There was a point when you couldn't walk around in women's, if you had more than 3 articles of women's clothing on you, you'd be arrested. You know? And
what would motivate someone to still do it then?
Oh, because it's the human spirit and perhaps stupidity. I don't know. The human spirit is indomitable. Is that the word? You want to do something, no one's going to tell you otherwise. You know? You want to do cocaine, no one's going to tell you you can't do it. You want to do it more. If someone's saying to you, you can't get dressed up as a woman, we're going to arrest you, so I'm going to put more women's clothing on. You know, I think that's just human nature. But also, it's a matter of self-expression. You know, I've been doing it for a while, so sometimes I forget what it is sometimes, how it still challenges people's perceptions of things, you know. But I was lucky I grew up in a time when I knew I had it wasn't just, I had a point of purpose as well. Like I was doing, it wasn't so self-centered. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I was working with organizations and I was doing other things and it still wasn't safe to do drag, you know. Yeah, it still wasn't safe. But it's not safe in a lot of places still.
But do you feel that as far as we've come, people should be grateful for what has been done for them?
Well, young, when you're 20, no one's grateful. What do you? No, you're not supposed to be. That's the whole part of the thing about being 20-something. You're not supposed to have any perspective on any of it. You know, what are they going to get up every morning writing a gratitude list? What are they fucking watching Oprah too much? You know, when I was 21, all I wanted, I did what I did. I wanted to, you know, get laid, get in a dress, do some activism, do some shows, make some money. You know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm really glad I grew up the time I did, because it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
You also have a very nice TV and film career.
That goes like this, you know, like everything. That's the thing about any, you know, showbiz of any sort, whether you're here, or here, is it's not linear, and that's why people hang on to it for perhaps. They hang on because it's like the lotto. You never know when you're really going to hit. You never. So people, you know, you stay. But it goes like this. and you have to learn to deal with it like this. If you can't do this, if you can't, then you can't be in this business.
Is that something that you seek actively, or has it just happened to you?
What the
Getting on?
Oh no, I've saw sometimes, yes, and I went to auditions and I got the parts and all that, and then that was a lot of fun, you know.
In the gay community, it's often emphasized that you need to be yourself. What would you say if people claim that doing drag is a form of escapism?
Well, if that's the least of it, you're good for you. If that's the people can escape with far more destructive things, you know. I think, but the moment you leave your door, escapism. I don't know what you'd be escaping by wearing women's attire. What are you escaping? I still don't. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't think it's about that escapism. No, I just think it's about self-expression
Do you feel
and
you've
experimentation.
learned a lot as a human being?
Well, I have to tell you, I've learned a lot about human beings. You know, and in turn, I've learned a lot about human beings by doing this job. A lot about human beings, about their idiosyncrasies. You're sort of treated like, it's funny, you know, like a priest. You'll reveal something to a priest, right? It's the same with drag queens. People will come up to you and tell you the most intimate things about themselves, and you have to see. I like people, and I like listening to them. I like hearing their stories, and they'll tell you the most intimate, personal things. I don't know what it is. You just bring it out of them, you know.
Do you think it's important then to listen, or how do you?
Oh, it depends on what they're telling me. You know, if they're you know, there's a lot of sexual questions, a lot of things, a lot of stuff about sex. I probably could be considered a sex therapist. You know, drag queen / sex therapist. And you can always tell what a person is like, what their spirit is like, by how they deal with eccentric characters. If someone looks at me and they respond with joy, and they're happy, that's probably how they respond to most things in life. You know what I mean? If they respond to me in a tentative way, they're not exactly sure, but they're not negative. That's probably how they treat things in their life. They're just, you know, ease slow. And if they're negative and they're hateful, then you know, that's how they are as a human being.
How do you deal with those people?
Oh, you just smile and be yourself. You know? Yeah. And yeah, I know how to defuse a bomb. That's one thing you learn by working in bars. You learn how to defuse a bomb, because there are people who really, really get out of hand, and you have to learn how to calm them down without anything happening. So I've learned when I'm dealing with volatile people, I sort of learn how to sort of divert the energy, you know.
But that happens outside bars too, I assume.
That happens outside, happens in life in general. It's a great skill to learn in general. You know, it's a good skill to have.
Why would you say drag queens are important?
Why are they important? I don't think they're more important than anything else, but at least they're colorful. You know, importance. Important. Why are they? They're not more important. They are, we are, I am part of a society. We're an important part, an ingredient. And that luckily we exist. We're just another example of human nature on the other spectrum, you know? So we need to exist in order for the stuff in the middle to happen. Because most people don't live in the extremes of this. Most people aren't completely homophobic, and most people aren't completely flamboyant like this. Most people are sort of somewhere in the middle, you know? So you need this and that in order to have this, somewhat, you know?
Are you still political?
Am I political still? Not in the same way. Not in the same way.
Is it because there's not enough?
It's not. They don't. It's not done. It's not. It's not the same thing anymore. You don't. People don't really get together and march anymore. People don't get that. It's changed. It's become a little bit more diluted. You know, people don't. They don't. In the day we got up and we protested. That's what we did.
Why do you think people don't do that anymore?
I think we're complacent. I think we're anesthetized a lot. I think cell phones. I think a lot of this stuff has anesthetized people wonderfully to a degree. But we do gather together when certain things happen, you know, and the internet is great for certain things. But I think in a way sometimes everyone's a little like, oh, we're on TV. Oh, everyone accepts us. I don't know. It's just different. Not worse or better. It's just different.
Have you been part of the drag invasion ever?
In Fire Island? Oh, I love it. Oh, I love
Tell us
it.
a little bit about it. Do you know the history too?
Oh yeah, Pansy. She's a great gal. About, you know, oh yeah. Oh, the invasion is the funnest thing. On paper, it sounds miserable. Summer, day, drag, a tin ferry. You're in a fucking metal ferry in the heat of the summer. 100, 200 drag queens on a fucking ferry, going from the Grove to the Pines. It sounds absolutely miserable, but it's really there's great camaraderie. It's fun when you get off the boat in the Pines and you just got, you know, they love it. Everyone's having a great time. Many people don't know the politics behind it. Now they think it's just a bunch of crazy queens in a boat getting off and going, look at me. I mean, there was politics behind it, but see, that's the thing. It's a lot of these things, like I started from politics, but most people don't know that. Pansy's thing started from politics. The invasion started from a political need. People don't remember that, but it still happens.
Has Fire Island always been the way it is?
Fire Island has always been it was a place for gay people to get away from straight society. Because in those time periods, there was only certain places on the earth where gay people would converge and be completely safe and separated from the straight world. You had Key West, you had Fire Island, and you had a few other places where it was really just exclusively gay. You did not have to worry about dealing with the homophobia and the judgments of straight society. You can go there to escape and get away from it, you know. And that's changed too.
What are your thoughts on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I think it's great. It's fun. It's fun, and it's another way of people to see this crazy, campy. I mean, it's reality TV, and a lot of stuff is hyped for emotional impact. And I'm sure they feed those bitches liquor on that set all day. That's what any reality show I've ever done. They feed you with as much liquor as they possibly can, so you behave the worst that you possibly can. So in that sense, I'm sure that hasn't changed. Television is television. It's scummy. Television is scummy, but it's great, you know. And it makes it more. It's funny. Sometimes the accessibility makes it less special. That's the thing. It's not as special, you know. I don't want it to become. I'm fearful to be common. It'll be very, you know, to be. Yeah, but I think the show in itself is really great.
Do you feel like, due to the show or in general, that there's an expectation of how you are supposed to?
Well, the thing is, this is every time, without fail, anytime the new season starts, why are you on that show? Why aren't you on that show? And I want to say to them, do you go up to every black person and say, why aren't you on the Jeffersons? You know, it's like, after a while, you're like, it's like, what's that? It's just, it's a different thing. I find it hysterical.
That is not something you would want to do?
No, I would never. I think reality TV is fun sometimes. It can be a lot of fun. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. I mean, those girls on that show, in the time period that they're on that show, it is exhausting. They want you to be exhausted so that you act on impulse and you don't think. That's the whole point of it, is to break you. It's like to break you down so you're just basically an animal in a dress. And that's when you get the best reactions on camera. It's like Guantanamo Bay for drag queens, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Do you still have, do you have any fears as a performer?
My only fear are falling arches. Falling down a flight of stairs in my high heels, that I fear, because I've known a couple of queens who have, and they've died. Fears. Well, you know, the funny thing is people have fears for me. They'll come up to me and they'll go, they're very concerned, and they'll say, Hedda, what's your retirement plan? And I just look at them and I say, death. It shuts them up every time. Because people are terribly afraid of people in the arts. What are you going to do when you're old? Do you saving money? What's going to happen?
So you don't have a life after drag
Life?
idea?
Well, a life after drag. No, I think drag is part of my life. You know, it's not my life, it's part of it. You know, it's just one aspect of my life. There's other things that I do also, you know. But I tell you, drag really is good, because when I'm in a bad mood, me putting this on and entertaining people is the best thing for my mood. It really is. Being of service, going there and forgetting about myself and being there, it's the best thing for me still.
Why do you think that so many people think that past a certain age you can't do it?
Well, no, drag isn't that way at all, though. Other professions, perhaps. If I was like a Kim Kardashian or something like that, where I relied on my beauty to carry me for the rest of my life, then the shelf life of that is very small. But when you're a drag personality, especially one like myself, I mean, look at me, I've got green fucking hair, for Christ's sakes. When as you get older, the character just gets richer because you have more life experiences behind it. You know, I consider myself a comedian, so comedians tend to grow as they get older also, you know.
Edna did very well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So drag doesn't necessarily have, the character just becomes funnier, because if you make fun of the aging process or maybe your struggle with it, then that's comedy, because it's two forces that are pulling in different directions. So I think if you're a certain kind of drag queen, yes, it could be very difficult as you get older. If you're one of those queens who used to, you know, a lot of these RuPaul in a thong and a bra, I mean, I don't know how that's going to age. I come from the school where you have proper foundation garments and you cover things up. Now everyone basically, they're showing everything.
Do you do your own clothes?
Oh God, no, I don't sew. That's exhausting. No, I have a couple of Mexican girls in the dressing room right now. They're constantly at the sewing machine, whirring away, whirring away. I never let them sleep.
Have you had a drag mother, or do you have a drag
I'm
daughter?
not a good mother. I tend to drop my children. I never got into that drag mother thing. I was always very uncomfortable by that. I don't know why. It's too much responsibility. I don't want to be responsible for a child. That's why I'm gay. You think I want to be responsible for someone? Oh, if you want to consider me your mother, but you're going to be a latchkey kid. You go on your own. I'm not making you lunch. Mama's going out to the bar. You figure it out. If that's the kind of mother you want, then I'm that kind of mother. I won't be, oh, where's Mom? We don't know. She went out for a carton of cigarettes and some milk, and she never came back. Then I'm your mother. I'm the perfect mother for you.
Do you feel like, have you felt over your career or your years watching the gay community that people within the community have started discriminating more against each other?
No, I think they always hated each other. Discriminating against each other? I guess the one way to find that out is going on Grindr. Then I would say yes, people are terrible. They discriminate against each other terribly. When you're a floating body part, life is miserable. You know, I see in that case discrimination, yes, but you're attracted to what you're attracted to. You know, sex has a mind of its own. we were so defined by our being of our. I don't think it's changed still. We're very defined by sex, the gay community still, in the male gay community. Lesbians don't have sex, as far as I know. Whatever I've read in the literature on lesbianism, in the pamphlet I was given. I never understood scissoring. It just seems god awful. It just sounds like rug burn to me. But who am I to judge? You know? Who really? So discriminate? Who cares? But you know what it is? It's always the case when you're a minority group. It's the sandbox theory. You're always trying to find someone else to pick on. And gay men are like women. Women hate each other, really. When they're in the workplace, gay men become, it's really odd. It's such a shame that we have to attack each, because, okay, my head's all over the place with this. We're discriminated against. We're made to feel bad since we're born. If they figure out you're gay, even today, it's wrong in straight society. So you feel bad about yourself already. So you have self-esteem issues. So if you don't have a really great self-esteem in general, you're going to take it out on everybody. So everyone's the enemy. You know, it's just weird. Instead of coming together really and going, okay, we were picked on, but we're going to stick together, it doesn't work that way. It's very peculiar. But women are the same exact way. It's very interesting.
Why do you think that is?
Because women are, well, we don't have a period. I could only ask God that question. And sadly, God never answers. You know why? Why it is, I just think it's human nature, unfortunately. I'm coming across as a complete bigot. I'm not a woman hater. I'm just glad I'm not a woman, because this is exhausting. If I had to walk around all the time looking like this, I love being able to take this off and just not be noticed. To be a woman, oh my God, have a vagina? I don't know how to maintain that. Oh, hello. You know, it just seems, being a woman, I give it up to them because it's exhausting. Not only do they have to deal with being discriminated against and having lower wages, they have to deal with a vagina that bleeds every month. Then, when that's over, they go through menopause, and that can take 15 fucking years. I'm surprised more women don't kill people. We're lucky being gay men. I'm lucky. I'm expressing a blessing. I'm lucky to be what I am. Self-cleaning.
Do you pick the films for the...
Oh yes, I curate the festival. I love saying that too. It's nice on my resume. Curator of a film festival in New York City. We were just in the Times a couple of weeks ago too. It's glamorous. I'm very proud of this job. There's nothing against bar work, there's nothing against this, but it's a nice, classy job. You know? People aren't coming here drunk. They're coming here to see something. So in a way, it's like the old days, in a sense. They are coming here to see me and the movie in the combination together. And that's nice. That's nice.
Still a nice interest for that?
Oh, my God, it's been 14 years in June, and tons of people still come. You know, it wouldn't last this long if there was no interest in it.
And is it like a regular crowd, or do you get a lot of tourists?
It's new, you know, you get a lot of tourists. You have some regulars, and then they die. And then some new faces, but it's New York City. It's constantly filtering. People keep coming. New people keep coming every year, so you get a new crowd all the time. I could show the same movies in the same order, year after year, and it would get new crowds. That's New York for you. It's transient.
Would you ever leave New York?
Where would I go? Detroit? It's cheap there. I could buy a burning building for $1.50. Are you staring at my tits? I can't tell. I have sunglasses on.
No, I'm not. I can't tell if you're staring at me.
Oh, I'm not. I'm looking actually that way. I've been looking that way the entire time.
Oh, that's why.
Actually, my eyes have been closed a little bit. I'm tired. No, I'm glad I wore the sunglasses because you don't have the beauty light and the overhead. God was working with me today. Shadows are a drag queen's enemy. Everything should be blown out. Nostrils, lips, and eyes. That's all you should see. Haven't you learned anything from RuPaul's Drag Race? I have to look like I'm about to be beamed up into an alien mothership.
Is there anything else you want to tell us?
I don't know. I no. If you're satisfied,
Yeah.
then I'm satisfied.
Great.
See? We're satisfied.
Well, thank you.
And that's what good sex is. Satisfy. When it's done and it's done right, it's very satisfying. Thank you. Ha ha!
Camera cuts.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Thanks so much.